Hello, everybody. I am here with Mike Weiss, the co-founder of Voice ROI. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Caroline, the co-founder of Voice ROI, and also my wife.
Yes. So today we're going to be talking about Voice ROI, the impact of having digital workers in your company, and also the application for digital workers as well. So, Mike, tell us a little bit, how many digital workers can you place in your sales funnel or your marketing funnel or your post-sales funnel?
Right. So first off, I think we should talk about what a digital worker is, because most people probably don't even know what that is. So a digital worker is a voice AI agent that has a very specific job. So with Voice ROI, the way we've been able to get consistent results is we are training our voice agents, we call them digital workers, to be very good at doing something that's very narrow. So we have basically identified 7 digital workers, or if you want to translate into 7 narrow jobs that each one takes on.
So what are some of these jobs?
Okay, so if we look at a traditional business, say a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, a med spa, that's a phone-based business. Then you have what we call the speed to lead digital worker, which is also correlated to, like, if you look at a business, the top of the funnel. And that is going to address everything to do with basically advertising. And that addresses doing anything with SEO, local marketing, talking, podcasting, anything that's going to drive traffic. An organization is going to drive traffic to some place to create that lead, prospect, or client. Traditionally, that is driven to a landing page, a form, hopefully not to someone's general website, but a form that has one message, a headline, a subheadline, and then fill out the form to get more information that they then can lead to a booked appointment and or a potential call. And so this part of the funnel, which is the top of the funnel, is the place where we can make a big impact.
And this is a speed to lead agent. So how does a speed to lead agent work, Mike?
Okay, so let's talk about what's broken first. What's broken is that from every effort made on, say, let's just take Facebook ads or Instagram. And if you're paying per 1,000 views, and then you're going to actually drive someone to click, they're going to end up at the landing page. And then a small percentage of the people that end up at the landing page will convert into the form. So a landing page conversion usually runs between 10 and 20%. So that would mean if you spent, say, $1,000 for the month and 1,000 people came to the landing page, let's give you the benefit of the doubt that 20% of the people converted, you would have 200 people out of 1,000 people that ended up putting their name and address in as a potential lead. So let's reverse that. You paid for every view, every click, and you paid for all 1,000 people to show. But now at this sort of narrow wedge comes down, there's now only 200 people that filled out a form. Now it gets worse, because out of the 200 people that filled the form, they filled out with their email. And email deliverability is a disaster right now. And if you're using HubSpot, Go High Level, Infusionsoft, Keep, ActiveCampaign, MailChimp as your autoresponder, every one of the large email companies like Google, Outlook, who's Microsoft, AOL, and or Apple know that all those organizations are marketing organizations. So when you send out that response in email, you're getting put into usually updates, other spam or junk, and it's very even hard to get in the inbox. So of the 200 that actually filled out the form that were very interested, you would want to make sure that 200 got more information. But the reality is that maybe now only 50 will make it to the inbox. So this is a very tough way to run a business, but this is how lead gen has been done for the last 25 years.
So can I give you an example actually of a client that we currently have that's using a speed to lead agent? So far, we've only been running it for a week, but so far we've got them 20% booked. So from the people who've come to that form and filled it in, 20% of the leads, we have booked an appointment and they've come and they've met with the dentist.
Yeah. So what's causing that 20% increase is our digital worker, a voice AI agent, And we have 2 ways to add in 2 more potentials to increase the conversions. The first way is above the form. There's a telephone number that gives people an option. If someone's on Instagram and they see an ad and they're like, oh, that's interesting, white teeth whitener. And then they go to a page that has a form and they're on their phone. Now we put a phone number, 1 click, and they can actually just from the ad in literally from the time it takes to click the ad, the link, they can actually push the button and be on the phone and find out about the teeth whitener. So that's one component. That's speed to lead because they had an interest. They saw the ad, they clicked the ad. So we're giving them the information very quickly. And that is the one aspect of speed to lead.
So tell me about database re-engagement. What are those kind of agents?
The second aspect of speed to lead happens when they fill out the form, and we actually are then going to instantly call them back. So if someone, once again, went on Instagram for the teeth whitening and they said, I'm going to fill out the form, instead of getting lost in email with virtually a very small chance of contacting them, we call them back in 1 or 2 seconds and said, hey, thanks, you saw the ad, and what were you interested in? What can we help you with? So in speed to lead, there's actually 2 ways that we have the ability to enhance conversions, and this actually makes a big impact. So imagine if you were spending this $1,000 a month and you increased your conversions by 20%, that's going to flow to an immediate ROI. That's what we call our company Voice ROI.
That is so exciting. And tell us about database re-engagement agents.
Database re-engagement agents. Well, most organizations have an email list, and it's either email list of leads, prospects, or we'll have clients and old clients. So many people do a good job managing their existing clients, but old clients get overlooked. And then many times in the database and the leads and the prospects are not managed, curated, and taken care of. And in fact, every year, the value of that database decreases by 25%. So if you had a database of 1,000 leads, at the end of the year, you would basically have 750 that were active. At the end of year 2, it's 500 out of the 1,000. It's a depreciating asset. So database re-engagement is a digital worker that goes in, and we construct with the organization a methodology and a plan to actually reach out to the leads, prospects, clients, and or old clients and re-engage them. And we re-engage them, and in most cases, the biggest value in re-engagement is adding more value. So you could say, hey, in the past, you've been, associated with our company. We're just reaching out because we want to, provide you with an incentive. We have a new program, a product, or a new offer, and we have the opportunity to give you, 20 or 40% incentive. Would you like that? Can I send out a link for you to take advantage of that? So that is database engagement, and that is usually the quickest way that we can help a company make an ROI, return on investment, because they're not doing anything. And so when we install this, it's just going to create revenue.
So we have a client that I'd like to share their story with you. They have a database. They had 1,000 people in their database. We said, well, let's call those people up and let's see if we can get them re-engaged and interested in one of the products that you're selling. So we created an offering. We called the 1,000 people. From the 1,000 people, 540 people answered. From the 540 people that answered, 99 people actually said that they were interested. And then from the 99 people, 21 people actually went forward and took an action. So, that's 21 potential sales that you have right there that you wouldn't have if you didn't have an agent doing it. And the reality is you're not going to hire someone to do that job because that job, it's very uncomfortable to get a lot of no's, I'm not interested, oh, I've moved. You just wouldn't spend the time or the money doing it. But a digital worker can do it, and it makes total sense for a digital worker to do it.
Yeah, correct. And not only it's very cost effective to do it, and what makes this database re-engagement campaign more effective is not just a one-off call. So this is a big part of the success is being able to design with the company a multi-step campaign. So we're actually we're able to create outbound calls. If someone doesn't pick up the first time, we can vary, how many days we're going to call them again, the different times that we're going to call them. So we get many more bites at the apple in a way that is respectful, and we appreciate the company's brand, but doing it in a way we just get a lot more bites at the apple to have more conversations. The biggest problem in today's business world in the US is you can't reach your customer and your customer can't reach you. And that's it. I mean, that's like as simple as it gets. You can't reach your customer and your customer can't reach you. What does that mean? Well, it's either an outbound or inbound, because there's two things that happen in business. So you can't reach your customer because when you're doing the outbound calls, you're ending up in, voicemail. They don't recognize the number. The pickup rates when people are calling a phone and it's not recognized is dropping just like on the email rates. It's very small pickup rates now. So you can't reach your customer. And on the flip side, your customer can't reach you because most people don't have after hours 24/7 capability. So when the customer puts their child to bed and it's 10 o'clock and they're back on the couch and they're doing their research and they're like, oh, this seems interesting, and they try to make the call, they're going to go to an after-hours service, which is expensive and terrible, or they're going to go to a voicemail, or even worse, nothing. So this, you can't reach your customer and the customer can't reach you, is the origin of our capability from a voice perspective, because we're operating on both sides. So database re-engagement is basically outbound.
So we have another client who we've done another database re-engagement for, and we have like 12 different database re-engagement avenues that we can go down. And this particular one, they also have a large list, and they do a free offering to bring people back in to put them at the top of the funnel. And this particular client, also, we did 1,000 people. From those 1,000 people, we had about 600 people answer. And the results were we had 120 people actually follow through and join the program. So they got 120 people that they wouldn't have had we not done the database re-engagement.
Correct.
And for them, it was huge. It was massive.
Correct. And it goes back to, one of the value adds that we bring Voice ROI as a done-for-you solution is that we have a tremendous amount of experience in designing these campaigns. So one of the big secrets that I'll reveal in a database re-engagement when you're calling past former clients, customers, is one, immediately lead with brand recognition. So they're going to connect the call with that brand. And so the second is speed to value. And you don't want to have a conversation that's not going to get to the point. And you want to make the point something of value, so you have the best opportunity to say like, oh yeah, I remember you guys. And oh, you're doing a new free training? Yeah, that sounds interesting. It's just send me the link for the free training. Yeah. So that's really the idea behind it. That's the speed to lead component.
Yeah. And we have another client that they're in the healthcare industry. And while they have been sitting here at BA, every day we've been booking them between 3 to 6 appointments. Just while they've been sitting here, they've been meeting people and talking. And I get all the messages on my phone every time somebody books an actual appointment in their calendar. And every day between 3 to 6 appointments. And obviously they're very stoked about that. So it's amazing what's possible.
Yeah,
with
I mean, that's the
workers.
advantage also of a digital worker. It doesn't get tired. It's not running 24/7 because you're not calling people outside of regular calling hours, but essentially it doesn't get tired. It can, from an inbound perspective, it answers phones 24/7. We have a methodology called the meta agent, which actually drives the agent to become over time better and better. So it always gets better. We always are actually analyzing the calls as we go with the customer to make sure that it's on track and on point. And we measure all the data. So, we have a guarantee. Our organization guarantees a 20% lift over 6 months, or then we begin to work for free. And the idea behind that is to establish a joint KPI, something that we're happy with in terms of, okay, this is the baseline for the last 5 years. This is what we get. We spend $2,000 on Facebook ads. We get 10 new clients a month. That's what they know. Great. So our job is with our effort and the digital worker to get 12. And that's our objective. But how do you meet that objective? Because you have to be data and analyst based. So we are analyzing everything. And where there's opportunities to make incremental improvements, we do. So the agent, the digital worker, is getting better and better over time, which is very important. And also, if you think about, okay, a regular worker, so someone that's going to be maybe assigned to do the database re-engagement calling, it's very hard to motivate them to get better and better over time because it's kind of a random job. They have a script, they're going to call, but what can happen on the other end of the call? You're calling, 500 different human beings. The conversation can go 500 different ways. And there's no way to really retrain the human to continually get better on these conversations because it just doesn't work like that. But with the digital worker, it does because every call is recorded, timestamped, summarized, and we have red, yellow, green markers. So we're actually looking in the beginning of every relationship for the yellows and the reds. Because we know the objective, it did meet the objective, it didn't. And then we're like, oh, we're happy to tell the client in the beginning, okay, this is like the opportunity. And then they get to see it, replay the call and be like, oh, if it answered it this way, it would have done a better job. And then we program it. And then guess what? From that point on, it doesn't get that opportunity wrong. So that's how it always gets better and better, and it never misses. So it's really, there's so many different aspects of how we drive success in basically every opportunity within every digital worker. So one of the other digital workers it's a very powerful digital worker is the front desk. And so we're dealing with service-based companies, doctors, dentists, lawyers, accountants, and at the front desk, it can get overwhelming. Like we're really heavy into the dental area. And so if they have 3 or 4 dental operating rooms and there's people in the waiting room and the phone rings and there's 2 or 3 people answering the phones and people come out of the operating room and a new person comes in, everything gets backed up. So one of the problems with humans is humans aren't scalable. So if there are 4 or 5 calls at once, what happens is you basically lose opportunity because there's no way for a human to handle 2 people at the desk, a new person that walked in, a person coming in the operating room, and 4 calls at once. So we actually designed the digital worker to be able to start and take on nights and weekends because that's super important. And then once there's a comfort factor with the organization, it usually takes over all inbound calls. It sorts and sifts, it books appointments, does live transfer, it can escalate any type of call. So this digital worker is scalable. It can handle 10 or 20 calls simultaneously. And it's just going to create a better user experience, customer experience, brand experience, and put more money in the organization's pocket. One of the other digital workers that we have, which is also a very powerful digital worker, is post-op or post-purchase digital worker. So many times, let's just take the post-op one for anything that's going to be procedural like med spa, dental, implants, or anything like that. What happens is after you leave the office, you are going to be feeling some kind of uncomfortability. Now, usually an office will call the next day and check up, but the reality is that 1, 3, and 5 days out, you can actually create the digital worker to ask simple questions that will basically uncover anything that might cause you a little bit of alarm to have the patient come back in. So that's one very important thing from a cover your ass standpoint and making sure you're taking care of the customer. The second thing is many times people come into the office post-op because they're feeling pain, but the pain many times is normal. When a patient unannounced walks in the next day or 2 days later into a dental office and then has to be seen, it causes chaos in the schedule. So by being proactive with a 1, 3, and 5 and answering questions and setting up expectations, you create a much better customer experience. And it's a customer wow experience. Same thing with post-purchase. So that's another digital worker that's extremely powerful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mike. It was great chatting to you today. And we hope to do this again soon.